Greetings, my dear friends. This is Dreamweaver Mystics, as always. Before I begin, I want to say something very important. Everything you are about to hear is only my thoughts and guesses. I do not claim that the number 13 is cursed. I do not claim that you should fear it. I am simply looking at the shadows it casts and trying to understand why humanity has flinched at the mere mention of this number for so long. Today I want to talk about a number that people avoid, a number they fear, a number they skip in elevators, omit from hotel room numbers, bypass in dates and addresses. I am talking about 13. Why? Why does one number, a simple, mathematical, neutral number, provoke such strong aversion? Where does this fear come from, passed down from generation to generation, living in our culture, in our dreams, in our superstitions? Let us start with the most obvious, with religious roots. In Christianity, the number 13 is associated with the Last Supper, Jesus and the 12 apostles. The 13th, Judas, the betrayer, the one who sold the teacher for 30 pieces of silver. The 13th at the table became the cause of death. The 13th broke the circle. But if you dig deeper, you will see that the fear of 13 is older than Christianity, much older. In Norse mythology, there was a feast in Valhalla. 12 gods sat at the table. The 13th to arrive was Loki, the god of trickery, deceit, destruction. He was not invited. He came anyway. And his arrival led to the death of Balder, the beautiful god mourned by the entire world. Again, the 13th. Again, betrayal. Again, death. In ancient Rome, there was a college of priests who interpreted omens. There were 12 of them. The 13th was unnecessary. The 13th was the outsider. The 13th was the one who breaks the order. The 13th, chaos. I think the fear of 13 is the fear of something that breaks the order. 12 is the number of harmony. 12 months in a year, 12 signs of the zodiac, 12 hours on a clock face, 12 apostles, 12 gods of Olympus, 12 labors of Hercules. 12 is completeness, a circle, a cycle. 13 is the break of this cycle. The 13th month does not fit into the calendar. The 13th zodiac sign, Ophiuchus, does not fit into the familiar system. The 13th hour does not exist on a regular clock. 13 is what lies beyond the limit. 13 is the door that should not have been opened. In the Middle Ages, the number 13 was associated with witches. It was said that a witch's Sabbath gathers when there are 13 participants in the circle, 12 witches and the devil himself. The 13th, the master of darkness. The 13th, the leader. There was even a belief that a witch could become the 13th member of any group if invited. That is why people were afraid to sit at a table if there were 13 guests. Someone had to leave. Or someone had to die. Why are these fears so persistent? Why, even now, in the age of the internet and spaceships, do people continue to skip the 13th floor? Why are there no room number 13 in hospitals? Why is there no row 13 on airplanes? Because fear lives deeper than logic. It lives in the subconscious, in collective memory, in those layers of the psyche that rational arguments cannot penetrate. Carl Jung called this archetypes, ancient images that live within each of us, regardless of culture, education, or belief. The number 13 may activate one of these archetypes, the archetype of the order breaker, the archetype of the outsider, the archetype of the betrayer. But there is another explanation, more practical, more earthly. The number 13 is a prime number. It is not divisible by anything except one and itself. It is indivisible. It is whole. But this wholeness frightens people. Why? Because we are used to fragmentation. We are used to dividing the world into parts. But 13 does not divide. It resists. It reminds us that there are things that cannot be broken down into components, that there are mysteries that cannot be solved, that there is a wholeness that cannot be cut. In numerology, the number 13 is often reduced to 4. 1 plus 3 equals 4. 4 is the number of stability, order, earth, the square, the foundation. But the path to 4 goes through 13, and that path is not easy. 13 is the crisis before the attainment of stability. It is the destruction of the old order to build a new one. That is why people born on the 13th often have strong character. They have been through crisis. They broke the old. They built the new. History has many examples where the number 13 proved fateful. Remember Apollo 13, April 11th, 1970, 1313 Central Time. The spacecraft with 3 astronauts on board launched toward the moon. Then an oxygen tank exploded. Houston, we have a problem. The mission that was supposed to be the 3rd lunar landing became a fight for survival. The crew returned to Earth. But the number 13 remained forever in space history as the number of a disaster that did not become a disaster. They survived, but the fear remained. Now let us look at the other side, the side rarely spoken of. What if the number 13 is not a curse but a key? What if it frightens precisely because it opens doors we do not want to open? There is a legend about the 13th zodiac sign, Ophiuchus. It lies between Sagittarius and Scorpio. Astronomers know about it, but astrologers prefer to remain silent. Why? Because it breaks the system. If Ophiuchus is recognized, the zodiac signs shift. People who thought they were Sagittarius turn out to be Scorpio. Some lose their familiar identity. And that is frightening. The 13th sign is a reminder that our systems are imperfect, that we simplify reality to navigate it. But reality is more complex, and it waits behind the door we closed. There is another mystery. In Mayan culture, the number 13 was sacred. They had a calendar, the Tzolkin, which consisted of 13 cycles of 20 days. 13 was the number of the heavens, the number of the gods, the number of creation. They did not fear 13, they revered it. Why do we fear and they revered? Because we have lost the connection to what stands behind the number. We are left with an empty form, with a digit that once meant something great. In Kabbalistic tradition, the number 13 is associated with love and unity. Echad, one, alone. In gematria, numerical value, gives 13. God is one. Love is one. 13 is not destruction, but union. But we have forgotten this. In Islamic tradition, the number 13 also has no negative meaning. It is simply a number. The fear of 13 is primarily a Western phenomenon. And so I sit and think, why do we cling so tightly to our fears? Why are we so ready to accept the irrational if it fits tradition, and reject the rational if it goes against it? I remember my own life. I was not afraid of the 13th. But I noticed how others were afraid, how they avoided it, how they counted and recounted guests, how they asked to change seats, how they hired an extra person to avoid the number 13 at the table. Once I was invited to a wedding. There were 12 guests. Then I arrived, the 13th. The groom turned pale. He asked me to come in 10 minutes later, after they had sat down at the table. I came in. Nothing happened. The wedding went ahead. The marriage lasted for many years. The fear proved empty. But why was it there? Why did the groom, an educated man, an engineer, suddenly believe in a superstition? Because fear is contagious. Because it is transmitted not through logic, but through emotion. Because someone once said something, and everyone believed it. In psychology, there is the concept of social contagion theory. Ideas spread like viruses. The fear of 13 is one such virus. It lives for centuries, it mutates, it adapts to new cultures, but it does not die. Why does it not die? Because it is useful. To whom? To everyone. The fear of the number 13 is a convenient hook for explaining failures. Missed your train? Because it's the 13th today. Broke a cup? Because it's the 13th. Argued with your wife? Friday the 13th. Fear explains. Fear justifies. Fear gives the illusion of control. If I avoid the 13th floor, nothing bad will happen to me. But it is an illusion. Bad things happen regardless of whether you are afraid or not. People die on the 12th and the 14th. Illnesses do not come on schedule. Failures happen any day. Here is what I have understood. The number 13 is a mirror. It shows not its own essence, but ours. Our fear of the unknown, our need for order, our inability to accept chaos. We fear 13 because it does not fit in. Because it goes beyond the boundaries. Because it reminds us that the world is not packed into a neat box with 12 sides. The world has a 13th side. We just do not want to see it. Another mystery. The number 13 often appears in tarot cards. It is the death card, but not in the sense of physical death, in the sense of transformation. The death of the old so that the new can be born. The 13th Arcana says, "Do not fear change. What is dying was already dead long ago. You just did not notice." This is a profound lesson. 13 is not an end. It is a transition. In astrology, the number 13 is associated with Pluto, the planet of transformation, death, and rebirth. Pluto follows a highly elliptical orbit. It approaches, then recedes. So does 13. Sometimes it brings fear. Sometimes it reveals truth. What if I told you that the number 13 could be your ally? What if you stopped fearing it and started befriending it? I conducted an experiment. I stopped avoiding 13. I deliberately sat in the 13th seat. I chose the 13th floor when possible. I scheduled meetings on the 13th. And you know what happened? Nothing. Nothing bad. And sometimes, something good happened. Once I was on an airplane. I was given a ticket for seat 13A. I smiled. Next to me sat a woman who looked fearfully at the number. "Aren't you afraid?" she asked. "No," I replied. "Why?" Because what is feared is not the number, but what lies behind it. and nothing lies behind it, except our imagination. She thought for a moment, then she smiled. Then she relaxed. The flight was uneventful. Here is what I realized. The fear of 13 is a training ground for our mind. We can learn to release fear. We can understand that it is unnecessary. We can replace it with curiosity. What if, instead of being afraid, you asked, what if 13 brings good luck? What if you flipped the sign? What if you made 13 your lucky charm? In Italy, the number 13 is considered lucky. There is even an expression, fare 13, to make 13, which means to win the lottery. In China, people are not afraid of the number 13. In India, neither are they. Fear is a cultural construct. It can be deconstructed. It can be reassembled. I am not calling you to run out on Friday the 13th and do crazy things. I am calling you to think. Where did your fear come from? Is it yours? Or was it given to you? Is it real? Or is it a shadow cast by something else? Try a small experiment. The next time you see the number 13, do not look away. Look at it. Smile. Say to it, "Hello, I am not afraid of you." And see what happens. Perhaps nothing. Or perhaps you will feel lighter, because fear is a burden, and you have just put it down. After all, the number 13 is just a digit, a sign, a symbol. It has no power except what we give it. We create our own demons. We feed them. We can release them. I do not know why people fear the number 13. Perhaps because it reminds us of something we have forgotten, of an ancient fear of breaking order, of Judas's betrayal, of Loki arriving at the feast, of the witch's Sabbath, of the explosion on Apollo 13. But I know something else. I know that fear does not protect. It limits. It makes life smaller. It makes you avoid the 13th floor, where the best view of the city might be. The number 13 is not a curse. It is an invitation to look at your fear, an invitation to ask a question, an invitation to set yourself free. The next time you see 13, remember this conversation and ask yourself, who is afraid, me or my fear? And that is all for today. This was Dreamweaver Mystics. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And hit the notification bell so you do not miss new videos. And write in the comments, are you afraid of the number 13? Do you have a story? Or have you stopped being afraid? I read everything. And remember, Friday the 13th is just a Friday, a day like any other, and fear is just a shadow. Turn toward the light, and the shadow will disappear. Until next time.